Hi, I'm Deborah Atkinson, founder of The Voice for Fitness and the author of the After 50 Fitness Formula for Women, due out this fall, and the course already out. I want to share with you a tip about free and the confusion about whether gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, soy-free, are there any others I've left out? Potentially. Meat-free might be one of those. Whether that's trend, it's fad, or it's real. So it really depends on you. So there is a lot of reason why recently books like Wheat Belly and Grain Brain can help you sort through that and understand it a little bit better than I can explain in this brief video. The Sugar Impact by J.J. Virgin is a great title to help you understand the impact of sugar, but that is one that all of us for real need to observe. In the last 25 to 30 years, as we've gone more low-fat, more sugar-free, more non-fat foods on our shelves, and we as a nation have consumed more of them, we as a nation have increased the overweight and the obese epidemic by huge proportions. And that is largely due to the fact we've reduced the amount of fat in our diet. Protein has pretty much stayed the same, but the amount of carbohydrates, especially the amount of simple carbohydrates, has increased dramatically. So what's the secret and why? What's the science? It's all about with sugar, with simple carbohydrates. When they go in, they are rapidly, easily digested, and they break down into sugar. When you have more sugar in your bloodstream, more than you need simply for energy and for thought processes of the brain, you have a big release of insulin. When insulin is present, fat metabolism stops, but fat storage starts, hot and heavy. So it's kind of an all over, game over, done, and you lose this round for quite a while. So until the next time around, tomorrow, when you have another chance to start again. So it doesn't mean you can't have carbs ever. It just means you need to choose the right kind of carbohydrate and the right timing of your carbohydrate. So having fruits like berries, like citrus fruits that are lower in fruit and load, and timing them so that they're a part of a meal and a part of maybe your dessert. As you begin to change your taste buds and get away from sugar, they will seem sweeter and they will be as satisfying as you need them to be. That's one example. There's also an example of the rapidly absorbing carb, all of the breads and the pastas that you'll find in packages at the grocery store versus, say, the things you'll find in the produce aisle, like a sweet potato that's got a little bit more starch in it, or like squash. Again, a little bit more starch, but a little bit more fiber, a lot more nutrients, and a little bit more slower release of those. So it doesn't spike your blood sugar, doesn't come with the increase in insulin that is quite negative on that fat storage that you don't want to happen. And it will give you enough energy to sustain you, help your thought processes, and if you time it right, pre or post exercise, to give you energy or to replenish. And at night, we do want a little carb to help us sleep. So if you're struggling to get sweet dreams, a little carbohydrate at night may be something you need to put back in, because so many of us have abided by no white at night, and that rule has stuck, and we've taken it so far to extremes, thinking, I'm not exercising, I'm going to go to sleep, I don't need carbohydrates. Well, your hormones actually do, so that they can be calmed and rest, relax, and get a good night's sleep, which is important to decreasing cortisol and, again, stopping fat storage from being so easy for us to do. The same can be true of dairy, and here's how that works. So I may be sensitive to dairy and you may not be. We will never know unless we test it. And I don't mean go into a lab and draw your blood, but what I mean is you need to remove it from your diet for a week or up to 3, and then reintroduce it, and reintroduce it 2 to 3 times a day. So we know if you're going to have a problem, we're going to see it. And a lot of my clients who've gone through this process may be okay with dairy, for instance. Well, the next thing they taking out wheat and gluten, they put that back in, find themselves at a sandwich shop with their kids, and without thinking, order the sandwich and find they've got huge stomach pains and gastric issues right away, swearing that off for all the future. Now, on one hand, that's a plus, because now we know. We don't want to bring that on necessarily in an uncontrolled environment, but that's how you know for sure. The same is true of dairy. Although the signs and the symptoms of being sensitive to a food are not the same as the strong reaction you get when you're allergic. You're not going to swell up. You're not going to have your tongue or your ears or your eyes swell up necessarily, but you may feel lethargy over the course of several days. It may take that long to catch up. You may feel bloatedness or gurgling in your stomach. You may have digestive issues that take a day, 36 to 48 hours to catch up with you, and you may not put two things together right away. So when you're testing and you're just removing one thing, just adding one thing back in, you can be a little bit more certain just what it is, so it's not a random test. So I encourage you to either go through the course with me. The After 50 Fitness course is an online course where we do that systematically, taking things out and then introducing them one by one to find out whether you're upset by it, whether it works for you or not. So we know, how are you going to feel the very best eating what type of foods, and or finding substitutes that work better for you. And that's your tip about what's free and what's not for lunch.